Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasankma Keparu with another video for you. And today I want to talk about a very important subject matter, which is the precognitive intelligence that governs your life. But before I get into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time watching my channel, subscribe to the channel. So let me just take a detour for a moment and thank everybody who has signed up and purchased my ebook, The New Kepra Ankh. The response has been great and I'm really pleased. I want to thank you all for purchasing the ebook. It will allow me to do the necessary research, get an artist to do the formatting for the book and everything. And don't forget, we're releasing the book on February 1st. It's a pre-order and it's only $39.95. We have 1 day left. Okay, if you're interested in getting your copy, purchase it now. Only 1 day, 24 hours left to get it. And when you purchase the ebook, you get a free 30-minute consultation with me and an oracle reading. So it's a really great value. And as you know, we're coming up toward the end of the year, the beginning of the new year. And I typically do readings for individuals going into the new year. And those are usually around $65. So the ebook with the consultation is definitely a good value. Now let's talk about this precognitive consciousness or intelligence that governs your life. I did a show, an interview today on O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel, and it turned out to be very interesting. Individuals were telling me off. They didn't believe in what I was saying. So the information that I'm going to be talking about in just a few minutes is also contained in my ebook. And it's not something that's easily digestible. A lot of people have a hard time understanding the material. Other people, when they hear the material, they get it, but they're in disbelief. They don't want to accept it. And that's a common thing because you find out that the world you've been living in is all a lie, you know? So, yeah, I think it was, what's his name? Is it Maxwell? James Maxwell said that you'll find that your whole life and everything you've been told is a lie. Jordan Maxwell. And he says, yes, there is a light at the tunnel and it's a train coming to hit you, you know? So you're going to find a lot about that in my ebook that's really going to shake the foundation of everything you believe. And it's going to reveal who's in control of this planet and what's really going on. And this is why I love going on O'Shea's channel talking about these things, because he's an awesome guy, very open-minded, but a lot of his audience, they mean well, but they're very narrow and myopic in their thinking. So one of the things I want to talk about with you is the intelligence that governs our lives. Now, there's two intelligences, and I want to make this clear so we understand that. The first intelligence was actually documented by our ancestors in ancient Kemet, Egypt, and it was called Osir. And here is Osir here, and you'll see he's the mummy. Now, Osir is what we call as the indwelling intelligence. It governs everything that goes on in your body, the cells, and it also permeates inward and outward. Now remember, separation is an illusion, okay? The modern quantum physicists are doing studies into what we call as the adinkaras. Adinkaras are the separation, kind of like charting and measuring the separation between things, which some say the separation is by dark matter. But we know that separation is only an illusion. And the adinkaras, really that form of measurement comes from the Dogon people, because it was our ancestors of Dogon who not only did they pioneer astronomy and discovering the Sirius star system, but the adinkaras too. And many of our other African ancestors were some of the first to pioneer into fractals. And fractals are self-replicating organisms, and their culture gave rise to the first computers of zeros and ones, okay? So, but I digress, all right? So let's get on to the subject at hand. Osir is known as the indwelling intelligence, meaning that within you is consciousness, and this consciousness is what creates your reality. See, reality is really nothing but a wave. And the minute that you observe it, it collapses onto a particle and forms what we believe is reality. And the ancestors documented this wave as a hieroglyphic when we talked about Nun, the waters of Nun, the primordial waters of Nun, which is what my ebook is named after, the new Kepra Ankh. You know, it's the waters of Nun transforming Kepra into life, Ankh. All right. Now, this indwelling intelligence, Osir, is within you, but it needs to be resurrected, which is the story of Osir and Aset, and that Osir was killed by his brother Set, and his wife Osir went about to resurrect him. And the way she was able to do that was she gave an immaculate conception of birth to Haru, who did battle with Set and won. Okay, so the story really talks about your will, Haru, doing battle, and that's the frontal lobe, to take the forefront. All right, and guiding everything you do in life by the indwelling intelligence, because when you can tap into that Osirian consciousness, then you govern everything that goes on in your life and the universe. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, because I can go into a lot about the indwelling intelligence of Osir. A good book to read is the Metu Neta by Ra U Nefa Amen. But another thing that we need to understand, and this is probably more important, covered more so in my ebook, because I think a lot of documents have been written about Osir, so I think it's covered in depth. But there's another intelligence that many in the conspiracy arena talk about when they encounter intelligent or interdimensional beings, spirits. So they would kind of classify this as a precognitive sentient intelligence, okay? And what we mean by precognitive is that the intelligence knows answers, and it's within you. It knows you know the answers, and tests were done to prove that when individuals under testing were shown flashcards, and before the flashcards were revealed, they knew what the flashcards were 6 seconds before it was revealed to them. Now, there's more in the study, and you should read about that, but you know the answers to a test. You know the answers to every problem that's in your life, but you're not aware of the fact that you know the answers, hence precognitive, all right? So this intelligence within you is incorrectly defined as outward. So you have the Ghostbusters or the occult theorists and those who specialize in the paranormal go out there and study, and they encounter these spirits or interdimensional beings, and they incorrectly identify them as being separate from them. Okay, but we know, because we're integrated brain thinkers, we think through our left and right hemisphere of the brain, we know that there is no external world, that the brain makes synaptic connections, and these synaptic connections give the illusion of their reality through sense perception. Okay, so we have to not be fooled by Maya, the illusion. Incidentally, Maya is the primordial waters of Nun as well. It means water as well, and not just illusion. Okay, and interesting there, right? So the idea is that this intelligence, which you can communicate with, that some misclassify as being external outside of yourself, really is another aspect of you. But you're not aware of it because it has an intelligence, so therefore you're fooled into thinking that it's an external thing, you know? So you have to be very careful of that, okay? Because you can get fooled into thinking that, oh, it's this really evil spirit or this interdimensional being that's coming to take control of me. No, absolutely not. It's an intelligence that exists in a different plane of space and time. But let's get down to the bare bones fact and how you can apply this to your life, which is what I cover in my ebook, is that whenever you're going through issues in your life, this intelligence, which is you, is setting up scenarios and situations for you to go through. And some of those scenarios and situations may be very bad, you know, and this is because your intelligence is just doing, in a way, what's necessary for you. Let us take the example of I'm a person who has low self-esteem or always have doubts, right? Well, if you have doubts in your life, then that intelligence is going to set up situations and scenarios where maybe you have to make a decision, or where maybe it calls for you to navigate a situation from a perspective of high self-esteem, and you're suffering from low self-esteem. So you incorrectly label and define these things as bad situations and scenarios, when that intelligence is really just doing its job. But you perceive it as, wow, something in the world is against me. I never get a break. You have to remember that as part of being a master magi, or even as an adult, you have to be accountable for what goes on in your world. You can never say that you've been dealt a bad hand. No, you are the dealer on the card table. You are both the one holding the hand and both the dealer. So you have to understand, if you want a better life, deal yourself better cards. And you can do that, all right? It's totally within your control. But the idea is that we're brought up in a Western culture which has erased the knowledge of who we are and how to control this precognitive intelligence, sensing intelligence that exists. But again, it's not separate from us. It is us that is doing it, you know? So I want you to think about that, because it's a very high concept to wrap your head around and to understand how to manipulate and control. The problem that you're having is that it's off doing its own thing. And you need to rein it in and say, okay, you were doing your own thing before, but now I want to be in the driver's seat, because I now understand you're not separate. Everything is one. You are an aspect of me. And in doing so, I want to create situations and scenarios. Let me give you another example. There was a situation I went into. It was a public event. It was networking. And I went there, and people knew who I was. And there were some individuals who wanted to challenge my perspective or my position. And that happens often. And things didn't go very well for me, you know. So what I did was I took a break, and I always talk about rebooting. And I went to the bathroom, I went into the stall, and I sat there for 10 minutes, and I chanted a mantra, a very powerful mantra that I know of. And I also recited a spell. Do you know, when I came out of that situation, everything turned around to my favor. Now, prior to that, the intelligence that exists within me was only setting up scenarios and situations to challenge me, because, you know, I'm a pioneer at what I do. And I know that a lot of it is very difficult to prove, because I'm going beyond science, beyond sensory input. So I know that there are individuals who are going to test me. And because of that, my intelligence set up those scenarios to where I would get tested. So I had to take control. And I did that through that mantra and through the spell, to change the nature of the reality to be more conducive to what I wanted. And anyone can do this. I'm no different from you. I'm no different from the average Joe or Jane. So I want you to think about that. And the first step for you to get this thing under control, so you don't walk into your house and think that you got evil spirits there, demonic entity or poltergeist, is for you to get my ebook, start learning how to use this intelligence to not only manipulate the situation, but to work on your friends, family members, and mates. Because if your mate is acting out of pocket or acting weird, that she's only an avatar, he's only an avatar, and you are projecting that through this fourth dimensional plane, and you can change the way that they operate, the way that they communicate and interact with you easily. All right? Stop thinking that you don't have power, because you're living in a subjective experience. We all don't share the same reality, all right? It's a very subjective experience, which we call a reality tunnel, a hypnotic tunnel. And you are given post-hypnotic suggestions to believe that everything around you is real when it is not real, okay? Now, I'm not saying that it can't hurt you. Yeah, it will hurt you. But, you know, the only thing that's real is the experience. Because in essence, if you're consciousness, you're beyond pain. So think about that. All right. Again, my ebook, the pre-sale ends in 24 hours. Get your copy to get more in depth into the subject matter. And until my next broadcast, this is Kasank Ma Keparu, son of Tehuti Ma'at, Amen Ra.